Hello everybody, and welcome to My Hero Academia, chapter number 371 review. This chapter is titled, Together with Shoji. So, last time in the whole My Hero Academia universe, what's his name? Spinner, the big lizard man, was trying to raid, the central Jaku hospital, and who else would be there but Shoji, who made the bold proclamation at the end of the chapter saying, hey, I won't let this stand. If you have a good plan to rebel, give it to me. But if you don't, and you are just going to compromise the safety of the hospital, then you will not be here too much longer. And this chapter pretty much continues exactly where the last one left off. We see a outward spread of the hospital, and we get a note of just the safety of those in the hospital, as Shoji's there, of course, with his mask ripped off, where you can actually see what his hedomorph side looks like, and he's like, tell me you have a plan, because if not, I won't let this stand. As in Spinner's whole big mind world, he's sort of like, ask if me have plan? Oh, what his problem? Boy hurt me. As we see Koda out in the background, and Koda, who of course is another hedomorph in a way, sort of taking on that appearance of a sort of rock-like structure. I don't know if we've really gotten this explained in any of the data books. Currently, I'm actually doing a rewatch of My Hero Academia, sort of because these reviews are very behind again. And I'm sort of want to re-get all my knowledge in the series, read through the data book, read through supplemental material, just so I know everything that's going on here, right? But Koda is a sort of rock hedomorph who has his quirk of animal control. And pretty much we then see just a standoff between Shoji and Spinner. And a bunch of bystanders are like, check out that kid, look at all the nasty scars on him. Right? And I'm like, yeah, but what's going on? It's just like you told us, we gotta obey and steal Kodagiri back, even if it means sacrifices. Tell us what to do. You know we are just. And we see that they're talking to Spinner, but Spinner is just not being able to take any of this in. He's just like, huh? Don't care. As we see all of the hedomorphs are around, and like, he doesn't care what's going on. As we see the mandible dude, and he's like, he's saying history has been written in blood, meaning such things are unavoidable. Press onward. As we see Mandibles here, and he's just like, that stupid kid in Spinner 2, you're making this harder than it needs to be. As we cut back down to Shoji and Spinner, and Shoji's just like, Spinner, you're about to set us back 30 years. And Spinner's just like, shut up, I don't care. As he's just thinking, seriously, if that bulk body doesn't get the job done, consider this a gift to use as well. As we see, this is what All For One said to him, as he gave Spinner this enhancement quirk in a way, right? And he's like, here is another one. As we see Skinner sprout out a bunch of scales all over his body, sort of like a dinosaur stegosaurus plating, right? Sort of like those spines on the back, and this plating armor just comes all the way across him. And he's like, I can't care anymore. As we see All For One is back, and he is saying, Scale Mail will grant you power defense in a form better fitting of a leader. No, not about any of it. Not anymore. Or, my bad. That's Spinner saying, he's like, I can't care anymore, not about any of it, not about anything. As we cut to Spinner and Shigaraki having a conversation way before Shigaraki goes insane, pretty much. And he's like, League of Legends? Yeah, I've played that one. And he's like, I'm only on solo mode. As we see Spinner get up, covered in his plate mail as he goes to attack Shoji. He uses the Sword of 1,000 Blades and pins Shoji up against a wall, cutting off a few of his duple arms in the process. And in his voice, he just keep moving. As all this happens, Shoji flings him off of the building, right? And we cut back to Anima, or of course, Koda, my bad. And he's just like, Shoji! And Mandible just screams again, Brethren, our resolve is a chosen rep. He shows us how the oppressed and downtrodden must find courage to strike back. We are the Maidens for the revolution. Blood spilled today will lead to rights of future hetenomorphs. And we see here that Koda's just like, what he's saying is bullshit. Out of everything, Shoji knows this the best. As we see that before, Shoji has showed off Class 1A how he's done, what his face looks like, and we see a panel of Deku, Tokoyami, and Kaminari all sitting there just going like, what's going on? And we then get Shoji telling the backstory to Class 1A. He's like, my parents didn't have arms like mine. We lived in an awful town. They all came out for a blood cleansing when I touched someone. Koda, Tokoyami, and the others who grew up in cities might have read textbooks about areas in the country where children are still made to bear scars like mine. And we see people like Mina are just like, screw that, the world would be better off without those creeps. And Shoji says, maybe so, but disparity remains. And we see Minetta's here, and he's like, oh geez, I'm pretty sure I called you an octopus once. And he's like, I'm sorry man, I wasn't trying to say you were gross or anything. And Shoji's like, it's only natural that my arms would make people think of an octopus. I went for tentacle as my hero name, since taco is the Japanese word for octopus. And he's like, it's not like I'm unaware of the widespread heroes who look like villains and stuff like that. I wouldn't want people to tiptoe around the issue for my sake. But my scars and heteromorph form are bound to make people wonder. So I wear a mask since I wouldn't want anything thinking I'm out for revenge. And we see Tokoyami's here, and he's like, that takes immense strength. As once again, Shoji says, I've been through plenty of terrible times that I'll never forget. But rather than dwell on the bad memories, I try to cling to the single good one. As we see a time when there was a little girl out in the ocean, and she was getting covered up and completely destroyed by the tides, and Shoji was able to use his quirk to extend the length of his arms and to be able to hold on, to be able to save the girl and bring her up onto a rock to end up saving her from drowning or possibly dying in any other way, right? And we see this as Shoji's just like, I'd rather cling on to the single good one memory related to this body of mine, right? As we see that everybody's just like, only one good memory? Say it ain't so. We'll make 1,000,000 of them together, buddy, right? As he's like, you've got us. There'll be better memories down the road. As there's a quick joke that Asui slips under Koda's sort of webbing, and it's just something that's referenced in the Cavalry battle much earlier in the series, where her and Shoji use this tactic of combining together in a way, right? And Shoji's just like, yeah, exactly, this is how it should be. But he continues to say, but I know it'll take more than one generation to tear down a wall that stood up forever across a century. As he's just like, so, just as those who've came before, I'll keep paying it forward. As we see Koda's remembering all of this, and he's just like, oh, what is this? Why is he going to this length? And we see that Shoji is just like, I'll be the coolest hero the world's ever seen, to give good memories to generations to come. As we sort of get a panel of him up in the sky with his Duplo arms going all around, very reminiscent of Kamui Woods in a way, a hero that we saw in the opening pages of the series, a hero that sort of is around and sort of has a heteromorph-like ability. As we see, he's just going to fight Spinner some more. And we see that Shoji yells out, I was persecuted too. And no, the people who hurt us weren't justified. But there's got to be a better way. And we go and look at the big animal heteromorph lady that was very big during the Dark Deku arc. And she was very much like, several shelters turned me away. Heteromorphs allowed, they say. As Spinner's just back, he's like, don't care. Destroy all. And we see that Shoji's again just like, think about how to make use of that rage. I know you can, because we've all got scars we carry. As Mandible just starts to say some more words. Were it that easy to bury the hatchet when I've come to this? Do you offer a feasible solution? No, only the pathetic cry of your ego. Our hearts are long since hardened by society. Far too hard to be moved by such childish naivete. As we see that Coda is almost sprouting these massive horns from his head, as we see his quirk sort of going into overdrive, almost like a quirk awakening is to come, as there's a bunch of birds that all fly towards Mandible. And Coda's just like, don't you dare mock Shoji, as all these birds come to take across Mandible. And we then cut back to Shoji, who is pretty much welling up all of his arm mass and all of his duple arms into one sort of cylindrical cone in a way. And he makes a fist at the end of it, and he goes, and he's getting ready to punch Spinner, as Spinner's just like, gross, that's gross. As we see that Shoji's just like, yeah, this is who I am, as he gets ready to go and punch Spinner down. So, this is another chapter sort of dealing with the racism of the My Hero Academia universe, right? Throughout the entire series, we've seen this idea of heteromorphs are hated and not favored as humans in a way. And we see this throughout the entire series, of course, with Spinner being the #1 inhabitor for this. I mean, I remember this coming up in the biggest point during the My Villain Academia arc, whenever Spinner was just like, yeah, I've always been bullied and mocked for my looks, and it's sort of this moment of, and how did I get into this situation, as he's facing off against the mask dude who uses sevens loud, I forget his name. But this is another chapter dealing with this, right? And it is a very cool moment for both Shoji and Coda, because throughout this entire chapter, we see that Coda's head is sort of enlarging and enlarging more every time he pops up. Like, there's those movement lines around it. And in that second, or the fourth to last panel, or whatever, or second to last, he's like, don't you dare mock Shoji, as his head looks really big, and it's obvious that he is about to take down Mandible with all of his increased power, right? And then the whole stuff of Shoji just going like, this is who I am, I want to be the best hero I can so I can make heteromorphs in the future rally around me and create a better generation, because this just can't be solved with one generation. Now, there's a lot of things I could say about how this sort of the idea of racism ties into many countries that are going through now, especially to mention the United States of America. But I am not really one who is qualified to do that. It's not really something that I have put a lot of research into, and it's not something that I would feel confident in speaking about on a level, being that I am a kid here who is just talking about My Hero Academia chapters on a very back-forward basis. So, this is a good chapter looking through it. There's development, especially for Shoji, and it's very sad in a way to see this way that Spinner has gone down, right? We obviously know from My Hero in the past, and especially the whole idea of bodies are meant for multiple quirks. So this is going to pretty much, I wouldn't be surprised if Spinner is dead by the end of this, because Spinner not only has his quirk, his heteromorph quirk, he now has this enlarging quirk and this scale quirk. So he has now 3 quirk factors in his body. And of course, from what we know about all of the All for One, One for All stuff, that is going to be shorten his lifespan tremendously. And he isn't going to have much longer around. And just the whole Shoji stuff, it's good, it's not bad. It's very interesting to see how he is improving as a character. And I don't really have a whole lot more to say of this. This is a chapter that works a lot better when reading through the entire portion, I think. We do get a lot of intrigue into Shoji's backstory, which is good, but I also wish that it sort of wasn't just 4 pages, right? Granted, it doesn't really have any right to be more or less, but it's a very interesting thing, and of course, again, Shoji's saying of I'm going to be the best hero I can be because of the situations. It's something good, and it isn't bad, not at all. So that's going to be My Hero Academia chapter number 371, and I'll see you next time for chapter 372. This will be Glowplasma231 out.